people don't need more money. They just need better money habits and better money mindset. In this video, I want to tell you 5 money rules I wish I knew in my early 20s. Hi there, welcome once again to another intriguing episode of Mindscale with Olushola. It's always a delight being here with you, and I really hope that you always have as much fun as I do have, as much fun as myself and my team have, week in, week out. And I want to say that if you're yet to subscribe after all this while of being intrigued by the gems that we share here, I don't know what else to say. Can you take a time to kindly subscribe? Click on the subscribe button. I'm going to have them to make the graphic very big. Subscribe, please. Can you click on the subscribe button? And also do not forget to turn on post notifications so you'll be the very first person to know when next another mind re-engineering video drops. I want to get right into it as fast as possible. I said earlier, and I meant it, that in many cases you don't need more money. The money you have is enough. Your income stream is maybe currently enough, right? You just maybe need new money habits. Is the income stream enough? We'll discuss that later. Maybe towards the end, I could have a point on that. But you maybe do not just need a transformation in your finances. You perhaps just need better money habits and better money mindset. And so I have curated 5 money rules I wish I knew in my early 20s. Now, at the point of recording, a couple of weeks, or do I say months, from my 30th birthday. And you might be seeing this when I'm already 30, or you might be seeing it before the age of 30. But either ways, just embrace it with all that you've got. Now, I have been privileged to have kept on ascending on my financial ladder throughout my 20s. But there were some things I just wish I knew earlier. And I really do hope that you learn a couple of things from here. Right? I've been embracing a lot of them, but still, they'll bless you. Rule number 1, avoid lifestyle inflation. Avoid lifestyle inflation. This should be a truth drummed in the ears of almost everyone who has started making money, but it's lost on a lot of other people. It's a truth that's lost on so many people. In a world where everyone wants to look good for the glam, dress up for the glam, you just have to calm down. You know, I remember some days ago, I was talking to my wife and I asked her, how much do you think this jewelry on me is? And she said, oh, tell me how much. And I told her how much, and she almost screamed, like, what? Is it that affordable? I said, oh, yes, it is. She said, where did you buy it from? I told her, I said, oh, you perhaps have to get me a lot more. And then we joked. And then I told her something. I said, if I didn't tell you the price, you perhaps would think it's way more expensive than it is, right? She said, yes, of course. And I said, that is because the perceived value of this piece of jewelry is not necessarily by what it costs to buy it, but on whose body it is. That's so important. If Jeff Bezos walked in here and came with a particular piece of chain, because you know he is a top 5, top 10 wealthiest man in the world, you can already discern that it will be worth a lot. But what if he told you he just picked it up from a very cheap store? Then you'll be in amazement. Here's my point. Calm down. Instead of building a big wardrobe, I would advise that you actually build a great life, build a great business, increase your self-worth and your value before you think of adding more blings. And even after you build that, the blings might not really matter. Don't increase your expenses just because your income grows. I repeat, do not increase your expenses just because your income has multiplied. Sometimes you have to learn to just keep on delaying gratification until you get to a particular threshold where you can maybe then increase your lifestyle. For example, I recently saw a very damning statistic that said about 60% of people earning over $100,000 a year still live from paycheck to paycheck. Now, for context, $100,000 a year might be a moderate income in the United Kingdom and a couple of places in Europe, but in Latin America, some parts of Asia, and almost everywhere in Africa, that's some top tier money. And it worries me so much when I see that some people who earn I'd say that much, quote and unquote, still live from paycheck to paycheck. Why should that be the case? What are you doing with your income? What are you doing with your expenses? Whenever you make more money, it's not the time to change your car. It's not the time to wear designers. It's not the time to try to be bougie. Sometimes it's just time to perhaps calm down and reassess yourself and look for what to invest in. Rule number 2, pay yourself first. Now, when I say pay yourself first, I'm not just talking to business owners and say, okay, when your business makes money, ensure you pay yourself before you pay your employees. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm saying is automate a structure where savings and investments come in before you spend at all. That's what I mean by pay yourself first. Every single time you pay yourself, you are saving, you are investing, you're putting money into things that will germinate for you in the future. And so even if it's 10,000 naira monthly, even if it's 50,000 naira monthly, even if it's $2,000 monthly, ensure that you're putting some money aside into your future. Ensure you're putting something strong into your future. Just pump it there. Just keep it there. Even if you don't need it, just keep it there. Open a money market account, open ETFs, anything you can. Just ensure you're investing and putting your money somewhere. Get shares, get equity somewhere. Ensure you are paying yourself first and let those payments go into things that will really germinate and yield proper fruit in the future. And that leads me to rule number 3. I wish I understood this a little bit earlier. It is you need to understand compound interest early. Understand compound interest early. Recently, I got thinking of all the random 100,000 naira and 200,000 naira I probably spent in a way that I did not want to spend, and only found out that if only I'd kept 200,000 naira to myself every single month, at the end of the year, it would have amounted to 2.4 million naira, which could actually might have been able to buy me a piece of land somewhere, which will in turn in the next 10 years maybe be worth 30 million naira. Why am I telling you this? It is because you must understand the principle of compound interest early. Compound interest. It will keep climbing. It will keep appreciating. And truth is, compound interest is never appreciated in the moment. It's only appreciated much later when you take a sit back and look back at how much you had and how much you have now. Compound interest matters. What are you throwing money in? Compound interest is like having a goal. Maybe you want to be a millionaire or a billionaire, but having a system and a structure to support that goal. That's where compound interest comes in. The popular author of Atomic Habits, James Clear, said you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Think of compound interest like the system. You want 10 million, you want 50 million. Are you going to save towards it? And also, what's the annual return? So for example, do you know that if you invest 50,000 monthly at a 10% annual return, in about 10 years, you would have about 10 million naira. And that's quite fascinating, because for someone watching this, 10 million naira could be something very far-fetched, or let's say $1 million could be something that you never thought you would ever have. But imagine you kept on investing 50,000 naira monthly, which is easier for you, right? Than maybe saving up $1 million naira. Now you see the power of compound interest. So imagine you just kept on investing in little bits. 50,000. It sounds amusing, right? 50,000 naira monthly at 10% annual return, which, by the way, there are other platforms that even give better returns. Some give as much as 15%, some even give as much as 19% annual returns, and some of the money markets give you as much as 20% annual returns. You will have 10 million naira, which means with a bit of patience, with a bit of understanding the money game, and understanding that compound interest is really what makes it worth your while, you will get there. And so always think long term. Always think long term. Stop basking so much in the present that you just lose sight of the future. Keep saving it. Don't eat your seed. Plant them. Very important. And that leads me to rule number 4 I wish I knew earlier. It is that debt is not evil, mismanaged debt is. Alright, I pronounced it debts because D-E-B-T is not pronounced debt. It is debt, D-E-B-T. So yes, debt is not evil. It is mismanaged debt that is. A lot of people run away from debt. And honestly, I don't blame a lot of them. It's because they've had bad experiences or they know people close to them who've had bad experiences. But let me tell you something for sure. The problem is not debt. The problem is the mismanaged debt that you've been getting. For example, credit cards and loans only destroy wealth when they are not tied to assets or return on investment. When you keep borrowing money to fund your wants, when you keep borrowing money to fund your liabilities, then there's going to be a problem. And this is very interesting because on the other side, when you properly manage loans, when you properly utilize debts, it could really be the major catalyst for exponential financial growth for you. For example, it's almost impossible for me to have been able to build the businesses that I have successfully built without what I call OPM, other people's money. Let me tell you, particularly if you do not have sufficient capital, you're going to need OPM. You're going to need the money of friends, family, and what some other people call fools, right? Because you're going to need people to believe in your idea, people to believe in exactly what you're trying to do. In fact, I usually advocate that you take loans to do the right things because they help you bridge the gap and shorten the journey in the best possible way. Use people's money, grow the business, and pay them back. I've been doing that for so long. Many billionaires do it. Almost everybody that I know that has been building startups do it. Yes, venture capitalists Yes, venture capitals fund projects. That's what the entire gist is all about, right? You get people's money to fund projects. In fact, a lot of people are liquid and do not have things they do in their money. In fact, so many people are unbelievably liquid and do not have stuff they're doing with their money, and instead just want to spread the funds to what they hope will germinate. And they're waiting for you to actually take on this debt. So debt is not evil. It's only mismanaged debt that is. Ensure you're calculative. Ensure you only put the money on the right things. And in a not too distant time from now, you actually will be grateful that you took on those debts. And so particularly for people who are risk averse, this should help you. I know you're scared. I know you're scared of not, what if I can't pay back? What if I can't do? What if I can't do that? You need to also investigate what caused your risk averseness. Is it because mommy took a loan and things went south? Or because daddy borrowed money and things did not go as planned? Revisit it. If your idea is so great, you never can tell. Your case could just be different. I advise that you tread carefully, but then again, do not demonize debt. Do not demonize loans. Do not demonize all of these things. They actually could help you push your ideas. And this leads me to rule number 5. The fifth thing I wish I knew about money in my early 20s is that multiple income streams are no longer a luxury, they are survival. This one is so important. You must have a contingency plan, particularly in today's economy. Things go south so fast. Just imagine you ran a very big company in the event space, and at the turn of COVID, from January to about May, June, July 2020, what happens? I mean, what happens to all that you build? What happens to all that you own? This is very important. What happens to your major source of income? Imagine you own the fashion company, for example, and you were just solely dependent on orders from people who went to certain occasions. When occasions were no longer happening, what happened to your source of income? And I'm not saying this to scare you, but I think it will be foolishness to just focus on one area. Now, don't get me wrong, right? You can make it primarily through one major source of income, but I think it will be folly for you to just leave things that way. Ensure that you diversify, embrace diversification, either concentric diversification or divergent diversification. Just ensure that you're putting your money in different places to increase your chances of being rock solid to the ground, regardless of any eventualities. For example, there's a statistic by the IRS and the US Trust that actually said that the average American millionaire has 7 income streams. I take it again. The average millionaire has 7 income streams. They might have one major income stream through focus that got them to the pinnacle of their careers. However, they did not stop there. They kept on dipping their hands in different things. For example, if I pick Elon Musk, there are several things. He owns X, there's SpaceX, there's Tesla. There's so many things and so many things they're currently doing. I don't want to talk about the epitome of serial entrepreneurship, Richard Branson, and how he's proof of many of these things. Well, try to do it in a way that it doesn't hinder your focus. But I think it is wisdom to diversify and try to have several income streams. I really do hope that these things helped. I wish I knew much more of this in my early 20s, but it's okay, I know now, because through this, I can take my 30s by storm. If this has been impactful, why not like this video to ensure that the algorithm helps us push it up to reach more people? And if you haven't subscribed, you're in the wrong. You can't keep getting these more gems without subscribing. So kindly subscribe and follow, and also turn on post notifications so you'll be the very first person to know when next I drop another mind re-engineering video. It's been an amazing time talking to you, and I hope to see you in the next episode of Mindscale with Olushola. Ciao! Toodles!